2019 came around, and I was doing some numerology charts, and Mary started talking to me, and she says, this is the year of a higher vibrational frequency coming in. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? Because that could mean anything, So she says, but she didn't give me that answer right away. So that's how it works for me sometimes. So later on, she was talking to me and says, this year is a year of awakening. For some, it'll be a reawakening, but for others, it is an awakening. And it's a year of extreme movement. So, and for myself too, I've moved twice in the last year. I know a lot of people that are moving out of from where they are now to new places and so forth, moving jobs. There's just a lot of movement where people have come to a point where they cannot resonate in the same energies that they were in. So it is time to move, whether, like I said, be a job, home, relationships, even a lot of relationship changes. And she says, in the process of that awakening, there will be a new understanding of how you look at relationships, how you look at your finances, and how you look at how are you being a service to the world. As light workers, we're here. We have it built in our DNA that this is what we do. It's not a choice we make. It's not something we wake up and go, I think I'm going to go out and be a service. It isn't like that. It's something that's a desire that's always been within us, but it takes a certain frequency to ignite that. So this year, which hence now I understand the Reignite Your Light is more than I thought it was. It is reigniting that for those of us who already have that in our DNA and are aware of it, it's reigniting it. But for those who don't know that it's in their DNA, it is igniting it to get them to move forward, to be of service. It's about awakening humanity. So with Mary, she's talking about there are certain aspects that hold us back. One of the things she talks about a lot with me is the process of surrender and what that really means. But in tandem with that is the process of forgiveness. And forgiveness is like, there's a lot of things I've worked on, and I'm like, really? I thought I forgave it. I thought I was done with that. And she's saying, but you're not. And it's not that you're not. Once you make that conscious decision to forgive something, it's done. However, are you making the conscious decision with spirit? Because there's a difference between just saying, okay, today I'm going to forgive this, or to be able to go, you know what? I'm going to surrender to spirit, and I'm going to let you take the wheel and do that forgiveness with me. Because when you're not surrendering, you're in a state of resistance. And in resistance, it means I'm doing it by myself. But when you say, I'm ready to surrender, you're saying, I'm making the decision with God. So you are going to help me. You are going to direct forgiveness. And a lot of times, my prayer in that is, when I'm doing the prayers with her, it'll be, help me my unforgiveness. Because maybe I don't know how. Maybe there's stuff so far in there that I don't even know I have it. I mean, when you think about your lifetimes, think about how many things could possibly be living inside of you that you're not aware of. So she's saying, what I really am asking of this year is surrender. Just make that statement. Make it available to yourself, because at that moment, it doesn't matter if you choose to forgive. The surrender was the key that opened forgiveness to you and to the rest of the world. For everything you do for yourself, you do for everyone else. Sorry, I have to have a drink. So she really is working on that surrender. And one of the things that happened when I started going through that process with her, I became really afraid of silly things. It wasn't like they were big things. It was just like this fear came up, and I was like, I really don't know what to do with this amount of fear. And I'm afraid of this, and I'm afraid of that, and I'm afraid of this. And she has this very sweet laugh and says, oh, child. And it's like, okay, what? So she says that, and I said, well, what? And she says, let's really look at what fear is. You think fear is maybe about your money. You think fear is about your health, but it is not. Let's take fear and place it in a ball. So we took the energy of it and placed it here, and she said, do you see it? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, that's it. That's all it is. It's a ball of energy that you're taking and placing on all these different things in your life, thinking that is the issue. And she said, stare at that fear. Just look at that ball of energy and watch it for a while. And I stared at it, and I watched it, and then all of a sudden I realized I wasn't afraid anymore, because it was simply an energy. And if I wasn't going to take it and place it on something, it had nowhere to live. So I started being able to do that more often and to just separate it out and say, oh, no, it's not part of me. It's not part of my mind. It's not part of my experience. So if I continue to look at it, and I've been continuing to do it, and it really has helped me to move through the fears that come up, especially when I was doing a lot of the forgiveness work. I had a very, very traumatic childhood, so that stuff comes up randomly. And like I said, I'm like, done all the forgiveness work. Heck yeah, all the time. No, I have, but not to the degree of the things that are in the depth of my psyche and so forth that I hadn't pulled forward and been willing to look at. And she said, if you announce to yourself that this hurts me, this thought hurts me, or I'm hurt by this, she said, the fear can no longer grab a hold of it. It has nothing to hold on to because you've looked at it and you've announced it. You've brought it to the light. And I was talking with Rob at lunch about Joel Goldsmith, and one of the things Joel says in The Infinite Way is that when you see some trouble before you, whatever it is in your life, if you look at it as though it's a mirage in the desert, well, what is that? It's nothing. It's just something that when you get closer and shine the light on it, it disappears. So this is the same thing that Mary talks about. Take and shine a light on the hurt. Look at it. It may look horrible, and some things do, but if you allow it to continue to look horrible, it'll stay inside of you. And being light workers and coming into these new energies, and with these angels wanting to come in and interact with us, she's saying if we could pull those out, it would make a better transition for them, easier for them, and for us to accept them into our psyche and into our energy fields. So that has been a really big lesson for me, and I've really been working with that, and I told her last night that I would share that. She said it also, when we're looking at our youngsters, our younger people, which I call the new generation of light workers, they have it in them. It's in their souls. Whether they've stepped into their role or not, it's there. But they're having this battle between being human and being a light worker, being a spirit that wants to serve and so forth. So she's saying the same thing as with these kids, because I have kids and I now have grandchildren that are, in this position that are awesome light workers. They're super intuitive. They're super helpful, and they just want to serve, but they are very caught up between technology and life and so forth. But she's saying there's a way to integrate it by shifting the energies and realizing, which you'll hear more of from Miss D, shifting the energies between science and spirituality. There's not much of a bridge there. There's not as much of a separation as we believe. And so she's talking about how with those energies, when we're able to take and look at the common denominators between science and spirituality. I have a lady that I read her book. She wrote a book on her father was an evangelist, and she's a minister, Christian minister, but she's a scientist who wrote a book on quantum physics and the Bible. It's freaking amazing. It is amazing, and she bridges and shows how between the religion and the Bible, how to bridge those two worlds. And because our children, the millenniums and the children after that, a lot of them are stuck in between those two worlds. There is a bridge. There is a bridge, but a lot of it comes from being able to look at the self, look at what's coming up with inside, look at the fears, and then asking for help. It's the one thing a lot of people forget to do is ask for help. You're not asking, God or Spirit or even Mary. I'm not saying take my stuff from me, but go with me through it. Be my crutch. Be my support as I'm walking through these things that are really interfering with my life and having a clear and good vision of the way I am here to be of service. So that's the stuff I got last night. So it was intense. Yeah, it was a very intense night. But I really like the way Mary talks about it. I like the way she talks about these angels. This angel is called, their order is called the dominions. These particular angels work on the level we call the Lord, which would be Christ or Jesus or whoever you want to put there into the Lord section. So these angels coming in, the angels that we have here now, Michael, Uriel, and so forth, they're still great to help to us. But because the vibration of who we are is rising to meet what's happening in the world, all the troubles and politics and all those things that seem incredibly negative and earth changes and so forth like that. Because those are on the rise, we're actually requiring, in a sense, from what she says, more assistance to stay on our path, to stay strong. And that vibrational energy is what she was actually talking about when she said, there's new frequencies coming in. Well, those were these angels. So I did some angel cards, and I was able to meet several of those angels now, and they're a very different vibration for me. They might resonate with you more, but they were a different vibration for me. But it was just the strength and the calm that I felt when they entered into my presence was really something that I don't know that I've had in a really, really long time, or maybe I never had it, I don't know. But they were pretty awesome, and I really wanted to, when I talked to her, I was like, I really want people to feel exactly what I'm feeling. And I know you won't feel the same thing, but to feel the presence of these beings in your life, to know that they're supporting you on levels that are deeper levels than you understood or ever were involved with, which is, I think, pretty amazing. So those angels, so I told her what she told me basically, and I said yes to, was today when we do this work with this music and so forth, we're going to actually call the presence of those angels in. Now, I know 30 of them, but I don't know them personally. But, I know 30 of them, and they will, their energies will be coming into the room today when we do this music. Because the way they can hook onto the sound vibration of the bowls and the didge will allow their presence, allow them to smoothly come in where perhaps not if we were just doing a simple meditation, because this will move us out of the way and shake our vibrations up a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to that because I think that's going to feel pretty awesome. So how many of you work with Mother Mary? I know there's quite a few of you, yeah. She's a very, very passionate and graceful soul. And I know, how does she come to you? Yeah. Yeah, yes. Yeah, I call it grace usually. Yeah, grace is really interesting. It's such a perfect word for it. Yeah, how about you, honey? Just through channeling? Yeah. And she just do messages? Yeah, and how's that feel for you? Yeah. Anybody else? Who else? I know there's a couple more people here. Who? That's not him. Oh, come on. Okay. How does it work for you, darling? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she's very interesting. How many are familiar with Annie Kirkwood? Anybody know her? Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. Annie Kirkwood, back in the 80s, wrote several books, Mary's Messages to the World, Mary's Messages to the Family, and so forth. So Mary approaches her in a very different way. She did talk about earth changes. She did talk about how to bring peace into the family. She had a lot of messages similar to the message of Medjugorje and so forth. And I remember, I loved Annie. She was just the most beautiful person, and I remember listening to her and reading her books and so forth, and then meeting other people who had interactions with Mary. And I just remember saying to her one day, why do you come to me? Because I tend to have like a Bible language a lot of times when I talk with her or when she talks with me. So I said, why do you come to me in this way? And she said, that's your heart. That's what your heart understands. So that's how I'm going to come to you. And that's what she was saying about these angels. They're going to come to you how your heart will receive them. So that's part of, we'll do some little bit of meditation and clearing and so forth so that our hearts will be open enough to receive them in the way that, what we're going to use to serve the world in a sense. Because when you leave here, you'll be able to take all that energy with you and share it. And that's what it's all about, sharing it all. Now, one of the messages that she had for me, that I had written down and I didn't bring it, was one of the things that's very important for us to know, that she wants us to know, is definitely how much she loves us. And with that love comes with it a spiritual power that is a gift to us. And so she was sharing to me the gifts. So you have the gift of spiritual power. You have a gift of wisdom. You have a gift of perfect health, perfect wealth, perfect wisdom. All of these things are gifts that are naturally ours. And she's always wanting to make sure that we know that these are free. You don't need to earn anything. There's no karma that has to be paid. There's nothing you have to do to earn this love other than one thing. Can anybody guess what that one thing is? Say it again. You need to receive it. Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't look at love as receiving, though. That's what's interesting. In my counseling, they'll say they have an issue with it. I can't receive. I can't receive this. And but she uses that word receive because it kind of encompasses a lot of things. So she's saying, you have everything within you. You are Christed beings. You have the love. The Father sits on your shoulder, just sits there, embracing you, watching you, taking care of you, loving you at every moment. And if you could just turn just a little, just a degree, you would see that love. You would feel it, and it would overtake your whole soul and your whole body. And when you do that, it overtakes the rest of us. It always moves us up higher as a collective of group of souls and so forth. When I was younger, I had this vision with Mary and Jesus where they came and they took me up onto this like cloud, and it had like a throne type thing up there. And I looked down and I could see the earth, and there were rings surrounding there, like several, like rings of Saturn, just lots of these rings. And as I was watching, they were dissolving. And I asked, what's happening here? And she said, the more that you each raise your consciousness and share that with someone else, these rings of separation disappear. And everybody is blessed by knowing the Father, as she puts it, the Father more. Because everything you do for someone else. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing, and it always kept me moving forward because I wanted that. I wanted to see everybody feeling that love and that peace, that joy, and to be able to embrace all those gifts that we naturally deserve. So that vision has always kept me moving forward because it's just so powerful. And it is just thoughts of separation, thoughts that don't really, like Joel was saying, it's a mirage if we can just shine the light on it. So one of the prayers that I do when I'm in struggle is, Father, because I've come from that world, Father, can you shine the light on this? Show me what's on the other side. And the peace that I get from that is so incredible because I'm acknowledging that is the illusion. I'm not even going to say illusion, it is the belief. Because when I work with Mary, we work with belief systems, less ego stuff. Because the ego is what it is, and everybody has their version of it. But for me, it's my beliefs of separation that keep me from feeling the presence of love. It's my belief in lack, or my belief in sickness, or my belief in anything that is separating me from feeling at one. It's not only my Creator, but everybody else. If I'm going into this grocery store, usually I go in and I'm like, hey, talk to anybody, I don't care. But, and people talk to me. I'm one of those people like, how are you? Oh, God, my life is falling apart. And I'm like, okay, well, let me help you with that. It's just something, my kids used to just get so mad. Don't talk to anybody. We'll never get out of the store. And I'm like, I can't help it. Where's Mom? She's over there talking to that guy. It's just something, when you've got that in your soul, people, they feel it. And it's like, oh, I can confide in you. I can tell you, I can tell you I feel this way. But, I lost my train of thought. On that, but it's just very important to be able to eliminate those lines of separation, eliminate that, the things that could instead be bridges to making us remember who we are as beings in the kingdom. I'm going to go real Bible on this one, sorry, because it is the way she talks to me. Okay, so we all have the kingdom in us, which is basically your oneness with God. So, in the oneness, hold on a second. Sorry, I might cry. In the oneness, we all are embraced by the fact that we share that common denominator of being Christ. It means that we are created in the image and likeness of God. We'll always be good. We will never be anything else but good and perfect. When the belief systems leave that tell us that we are different, the light within us will shine brighter and brighter. And that's what this new awakening is about. It's about bringing that light brighter and brighter so that we can now start making changes all over the world from where exactly we are today. Okay, that was that. That was that. So now, okay, everybody go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to start pulling in the dominion energy. I'm going to do a little bit of a prayer. Let's take a deep breath, please. Beloved Father, our gracious Creator, we thank you for this moment. We thank you that we're all here to experience a new level, a new opening to who we really are. We ask that this new energy, as it comes into us, that it becomes clear and smooth and easy. We ask that it moves through our body, that it ignites every light within us, every DNA, every cell, every precious part of our bodies, that there are the temples that hold the oneness of who we are. These awesome bodies, this beautiful heart, this heart that beats 100,000 times a day, reminding us that we're alive, that we are the living presence of you in this place. We thank you. We thank you as we stand here in the light of forgiveness and surrender. We surrender everything that does not serve us, everything that feels like it separates us from who we truly are, in the light and love that we were created. We ask that our bodies be still and prepared, that our minds be open, and that our hearts be filled with the love and light of who we are in the presence of you and these angels. Let's breathe. In your mind, if anything comes up, anything that feels like a distraction from feeling the peace and the presence of Spirit, just shine a light upon it and know that it's a belief and you can choose again. In this moment, we claim our perfect I Am presence, and we acknowledge that we choose love.